Welcome to the Real Talk Weekly podcast, where we discuss news, culture, life, and dive into deep conversations about our faith. Here's your host, Alan Reed.
Hey everyone, welcome to the weekly Real Talk podcast. I'm Alan Reed, host of the show, here with the rest of the gang.
What's up?
Hey.
Hi. And this is the week before Thanksgiving. You guys ready?
Nah.
Who's heading out of town? Anyone heading out of town?
Nope. Staying close.
We are too. We're staying. Awesome.
Honestly, we don't even have our plans.
I was encouraging. I was encouraging hand raising.
Well, normally it's like anyone else going out of town?
Actually, we're staying home. We kind of do, we flip things around every year. So let's begin with our icebreaker. If you could get rid of any staple Thanksgiving food, what would it be?
I'll go first.
This may be hard.
Stuffing.
Stuffing.
Yeah,
Really
get rid of it. It is just gooey, gross.
I used to think
disgusting.
that.
You used to think that and you became like cultured? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I found out it was my mom's stuffing.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry,
so
Mom.
just your
She's
mom's
not
stuffing
listening.
was bad?
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
But yeah, stuffing, get rid of it because I don't understand the purpose of it. Like, what's the purpose of stuffing? Because now you don't even stuff the turkey with the stuffing. Mm-hmm. It defeats the purpose.
Yeah, but
It's flavorful.
No, it's not. Stop
You haven't had good
denying
stuffing.
yourself.
Maybe,
supposed to feel
maybe you've been
stuffed
eating
with-
Alan's mom's stuffing.
Yeah,
I've tried
maybe
multiple
your mom
stuffings.
just makes horrible.
have
No.
you tried dressing?
Both of those. I
Gravy,
hate.
gravy helps everything.
Well, what's the point of having
Say, if
something
you
if
gotta
you're just going
put
to dump
gravy on it.
gravy on it?
The goal of Thanksgiving is
Get
to
fat.
yes,
Yeah.
Hibernate.
yes,
Yeah.
preparation.
It's to look at ads that come out for Black Friday deals
Yeah.
after you've enjoyed a good meal
And then take a nap.
and you take a nap.
Well, Black Friday started in September, so
That's
it's
true. It started
irrelevant
earlier
now.
this year.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Mine would be either cranberry sauce or candied yams.
No, you get to say one.
No,
Yeah,
you have to
you
say
can't-
one, and it better not be candied yams or we're going to fight.
It's cranberry sauce.
Okay, good.
It would be.
Yeah,
That'd be
you're
my
gonna
number
do
one.
candied yams.
Cranberry sauce is just like, what is that? It's
See,
not jelly.
But I feel like that's a northern thing.
I think homemade cranberry sauce is different from what we are used to.
It is, but can I tell you a secret? I like the jiggly can stuff better than homemade.
That has like the rim,
Yeah.
like the imprint of the can.
Well, yeah,
on
because
it
you
when
slice it where those little imprints are, and that's how you know you're making
perforated,
even
if you will.
sizes. My friend Shannon makes.
It's like a
Shannon, are
burger,
you
but
listening?
not.
Give you a word out, shout out.
Word out.
She makes a cranberry jalapeno salsa.
Gross.
Ew.
No, it's so good.
What is it called?
Cranberry jalapeno salsa
I'd try that.
with fresh cranberries and fresh jalapenos. And
What
it is,
chip do you eat it with?
we use Triscuits, but it's
So it's not a
so
salsa.
it's so good.
It's more like
so
a
good.
relish.
Yeah,
Whatever,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
delicious. That's all that matters.
Christmas relish.
Yeah.
But spicy, it's so good.
Is there such a thing as Christmas relish?
Now there is.
Now
Yes.
there is.
That's what we're calling it.
Cranberry
Branded.
jalapeno
Trademarked.
Christmas relish.
Things that have kind of snuck their way into
Patent
Thanksgiving meals.
pending.
Why don't you like yams? What's wrong with you? You're un-American.
Wait,
No,
hold on.
no.
Yeah,
He
you
said
asked
he
me to
doesn't like
choose one.
cranberry sauce.
He
Yes.
chose the other one.
I
though.
chose, yes.
But he wanted to choose yams.
Well, what do you say?
Yeah, what's your rebuttal?
So
Because I thought you were going to say candied
I did
yams.
too.
no, I love candied yams. They're my favorite.
Maybe.
Like I wish you could have candied yams like all year long and
You
not
can.
be.
Actually,
No.
I know you can. And secretly,
I don't
do.
know how to tell you this, pal.
But most people don't. They just eat them at the holidays. I'm like, why? This is such a great food. Eat it all the time.
What's your...
What would I get rid of?
Yeah.
So I would, you know me,
He's
breaking
going
the
to say
rules.
turkey.
I would cheat and say get rid of pecan pie because you still have pumpkin pie and apple pie on the menu.
oh,
See,
Oh,
I
no,
would
we
be
don't
with
do
you,
apple
but
pie.
I don't like pecans. So there
So
you
Do
you'd
you
be in
like
agreement with me.
pecans?
you have
Pecan.
You have
Oh, please don't
a
start
nut
that
allergy
drama.
or
No,
It's pecan.
I just don't prefer nut pies or nut breads or
See,
anything.
it's like the gooey, caramely part for me. That's what I really like about that
So-
pie.
Oh, okay. I was
So
like,
you would keep pecan pie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what would you drop
3
out?
pies at Thanksgiving are pumpkin, pecan, and sweet potato. I would get rid of candied yams because for me, Thanksgiving, you got turkey, you have to have mashed potatoes. Why would I need 2 potato variations?
True.
I just need homemade mashed potatoes.
wait,
one is
yams or
savory.
potatoes?
Kind
Yeah.
of.
And one is sweet. They're
Really?
both a starchy food.
Aren't they like, isn't it just a sweet potato?
Yeah, basically.
I have no idea.
I think
They're the same
basically
color.
The same thing.
I'm assuming they are the same thing. I'll Google it right here.
Google it.
Google it.
Our yams.
I think they're the same thing.
It filled it in for me. Let's see.
They're actually different.
Yes.
They are? I thought technically they were different.
They're also called yams, and in fact, yeah.
Okay, good. We were right.
So
then.
sweet potatoes and yams are the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Is the yam the sweet version?
See, don't tell us that you don't learn
sweet
something
potato?
here.
So you love sweet potato pie, but you would get rid of yams.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy sweet potatoes. I just don't need
It's the
a
yams.
sweet thing that's like dessert-like
so
on
good.
my plate.
They're so good.
Okay, hold up. So are you like sweet potatoes? Do you like the more savory side or like super sweet?
Are you asking
Super
me?
sweet.
Yeah, just anybody.
Super
I go
sweet.
back and forth. I like them both ways.
Sweet.
They're
Fine.
both terrible. Your answer.
I love to
I
get.
didn't realize it was a trick question.
The trick question was sweet potatoes are terrible.
You know
I
what?
love
They're
to go get a
baked
steak.
in a cake. They're delicious.
I love to go
I'll
get a
give you
steak at a restaurant with a loaded sweet potato, and it's fantastic.
Loaded
No.
sweet potato.
Ew.
Weird.
All it is a sweet potato with butter, cinnamon, and sugar on it.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is. It doesn't have like
when
bacon.
you
I
say
thought you meant,
loaded,
like,
I'm like
chives.
bacon.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
It's time for the dish.
All right, let's go over the dishes.
High five.
We just talked about the dishes.
No, stop being difficult. Who wants to go first with their dish?
We're not going to do a rundown. We're just going to go straight into it.
Yes, because I can't remember what all of them are.
Okay,
I
well,
think there was a Christmas story that was
I'll go
Allie's.
first. I'll
That's
go
me.
first.
I need to be last before we get to our main topic, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. I'm going to go first because mine, I just want to get politics out of the way here.
Get it out.
So this past Tuesday or last week, a week ago from today's recording or today's airing. Wow, math.
The fact that we record early
Yeah,
and
it's
then
hard
release
to keep-
early the next
This is
week
really
makes it
difficult.
messy for us to talk about what's actually happening.
Anyways, so election season, right? So apparently in Louisiana, I'm going to butcher this name.
Louisiana.
I'm going to butcher this both of these. So the city name and the winner. Bogalusa? Is that right?
It looks right to me.
It looks like it. Bogalusa had an election for mayor. And I don't know if you all have seen Parks and Recreation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who has?
Yeah. Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
I've seen it.
So if I say Icetown, does everyone understand what I'm saying?
No. I haven't seen a lot of them.
Okay. I'll get to
Oh,
it in
yeah.
a
I've
second.
seen it. I've
But
seen it.
the winner of the mayoral election was a 23-year-old man named Tyron Truewrong.
That's a scary last name.
Truewrong. True, wrong. Oh my gosh,
that's-
that's the depths to that. True and wrong.
It's not a surprise he became a politician.
Yeah. Good one.
Got him.
Thank you.
Got him. Anyways, so the sad thing is, well, it's interesting that a 23-year-old won,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
What were you doing at 23, right?
yeah, like
It's more sad that people voted for him.
yeah. So it's sad to look at the amount of votes that they had for mayoral election. I think the total was 3,111 votes.
Oh, no.
Total. But the incumbent was mayor since 2014. So they had been on 2 terms and they lost to a 23-year-old. But it gets worse.
Oh.
He was only 15 at the time. When,
The incumbent got last place and lost to someone else above them.
wow.
So
He must have been really good.
That mayor must have been doing a really bad
Yeah.
job.
So I did.
People
I
of
did some,
Bogalusa are not happy.
yeah, I did some deep dive into Bogalusa, and apparently is one of the highest rated crime percentages in the United States.
I would get out
They
of there
said
if I
1
was
in
that old
17
mayor.
people are, I guess,
A victim?
victims of crimes.
This isn't even like, okay, I just looked up the population of Bogalusa thinking,
It's
what is this
10,000.
population? Like 5 people?
No,
10,569.
yeah.
So
So
it's pretty good.
they
It's
had
like
like
the size of
30%.
Branson.
30% turnout for voting is. But this begs the question: do you think Tyron is going to open Icetown?
Pretty much.
So to give you some background, Alan,
Thank you.
in the show Parks and Rec, what's his name?
Adam. In real life.
Yeah, his name's Adam, but what's his name
It won't
in the
matter.
show? Anyways, Leslie Knope's husband. Wow, spoilers. Yeah, was elected mayor as like a 16-year-old, I think.
Yeah.
And spent the whole money or the town's money on a theme park called Icetown,
Made
and
of
then
ice.
bankrupt the
Good idea.
Yeah.
town.
Awesome.
Ben Wyatt.
Ben Wyatt, thank you,
that's
Ben
right,
Wyatt.
that's right.
I had to Google it because I couldn't remember it either.
Yeah, I had it there for a second and I lost it. So, Tyron, learn from your predecessors on TV and don't open Icetown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's other things you could open up that would be more
Like
beneficial.
how bad do you have to be as a mayor to lose that badly?
Listen,
it wasn't
I don't
even
know.
close.
I'm not going to say that mayor is bad. I'm going to say that town is messed up. Just anyways, if you have a chance of becoming a victim in 1 in 17, the town's probably not great as a whole.
Well, in 1990, the town's population was 14,000, and it has had a steady decline.
It's probably the crime rate.
Probably.
So here's to Tyron. Hopefully you fix that problem.
Yeah.
We're behind you
Rooting
here in
for
Rogers,
ya.
Arkansas. We're rooting for
Rooting
you.
for you, True
Yeah.
Wrong.
True wrong.
There's
True,
a TV show there.
Never know.
true
Rooting
wrong.
for
True wrong.
Might be the future president. Never know.
I feel like I'm having a stroke trying to say his last name.
True.
Anyways, there's your election news. Hot news.
Election headquarters.
Interesting.
It is fascinating.
23.
True wrong is like the guy who names his dog Stay. And you're like, come here, Stay. Come here, Stay. And the dog can't figure out what it's supposed to do.
My
Yeah,
dog
what a
doesn't
rough
listen
life.
anyway. So. Oh my gosh. All right, moving on. Merry
Yes.
Christmas, everyone.
Yes.
Anybody have their Christmas tree up already?
Nope.
No. I'm trying to
Christmas lights are going up in our neighborhood.
I'm trying to go slower
Yeah.
because we went too fast last year with the decorations, and then like come like halfway through December, you're kind of like it lost its luster before even Christmas happened.
And that's
So we're
not
trying
good
to
because
like.
you love Christmas.
I love Christmas, so continue.
Yeah, we don't do ours till the day after Thanksgiving. It's a rule.
Yeah, we're the same.
It's a rule, and it shall not be broken.
Good roll.
It's the
We did
11th
just put our
commandment.
Thanksgiving wreath out, though.
Oh, interesting.
We have wreaths that go on our front
Isn't that
door.
like a cornucopia?
No, ours is a really pretty one. We got it from
Cornucopias can be pretty.
a girl who used to go to church here. When I think of cornucopia now, all I can think of is Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah,
accurate.
that ruined it.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
much death.
Anyways, a Christmas Story, arguably one of the greatest Christmas films
Is
ever
that
made.
the You'll Shoot Your Eye Out
Yes, Ralphie.
Ralphie. Precious little Ralphie.
With the Red
He's
Ryder
so
BB gun.
sweet.
Yep.
How long ago do you think that movie came out?
Like,
It was in the 70s. No, it was 80s.
I think it was
probably earlier
80s.
than that.
I think it was 40 years ago.
No, it's been. It was like in the 60s or 70s.
I think
No.
no. It's later than you think it is. Trust me.
I'm going to guess, since you asked, since
Yeah.
you said guess, let's see.
I say
I'm going to say it's 55 years ago.
Okay.
Which would be what year? Math.
That
Quick.
would be 1965.
Yeah, that math checks out. What do you think?
Well,
Sure.
Now you approved.
I'm not going to answer because I Googled it.
Oh, wow. I'm going
cheater.
to say 1982.
Which is how many years ago?
40.
Okay. We've waited 39 years
Oh!
for a sequel to one of the greatest movies ever made. So,
Christmas movies ever made.
yeah.
Huh.
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
say it's one of the greatest movies ever made.
No, it's not, but it is very nostalgic. So they just released the trailer, and it is the same actor. He's all grown now. And so the same guy who played Ralphie when he
Which
was a little
is super
kid.
bizarre looking.
Yeah,
by
it
the
is.
way.
Yes, he doesn't look like what I thought he was going to grow up to look like. It's a little
we
scary,
all?
actually.
It's a little frightening.
We're
Yeah.
way cuter as kids, and then we grow up, and it's like, ugh.
Speak for yourself. Anyways, yeah, he actually is kind of disturbing looking.
Hey, but he got an actor.
You know what? Here we are, though, full circle. So this time, I'm not spoiling anything. The trailer comes out. He's doing Christmas without his father.
Oh.
Yes. So his dad is one of the best characters in that
So
movie.
sad.
So it'll be interesting to see how they.
Dead.
I think probably.
Probably. By
Wow.
I think his mom is still
We're
alive.
trying to tell a happy story here, and you had to bring death.
Well,
into it.
just trying. I'm just thinking why he probably wasn't in the movie.
That makes sense. He seemed really old.
He's
in the
passed away in
first
the
one.
movie, so.
He was probably like 35 whenever he made it.
So,
I don't
are
know,
your,
it's
are
kinda
your
old.
expectations that this will be a good movie?
Here's the problem. It's only being released on HBO Max, which makes me think no.
Yeah.
So I do have that issue with it. My hopes are there because I really do love that movie. And I think they've kept a lot of the same like concepts from the original movie. So there's a lot of like the same lines that were funny, but just being used as an adult now. So I do appreciate that there's some continuity between the two, but we'll see. Anyways, it starts streaming. Let's see. November 17th.
Okay.
So like next week.
So
Okay.
which
A
is
week from today.
wait,
I still haven't
which is
seen Hocus
the
Pocus
day
2.
that
So get
No,
your
not when it
HBO.
airs, when we're recording.
yeah.
Oh, snap. We could just like do a recording where we just watch it.
But hey, didn't 8-Bit Christmas only come out on HBO Max?
I think so.
And that was really
great.
good.
I
It was
thought
really good.
great.
So maybe
We'll
there's
see.
some hope.
We get
We'll see.
HBO Max free with our cable or with our internet subscription, so I'll totally check it out.
Yep.
And so you're aware, old man Parker, Darren McGavin, did pass away in 2006.
Oh, wow. That was,
It's a long time ago.
yeah. How
I'm
many
telling
years?
you.
16?
Yep.
Math.
He was old in the first one.
So everybody check out that movie and let us
Hopefully
know
it's
what you
good.
think.
Hopefully
We're not
it's-
putting our stamp of approval
Wait,
on
yeah.
it yet.
I have no idea. HBO Max is kind of bad sometimes, so
I bet you this movie's going to be G.
you think?
No.
You don't think so?
PG.
PG.
I don't know. In the first movie, he said a lot of bad words.
He did.
Well, he had his tongue stuck to a pole. What would
No,
you say?
that was a different kid.
That was a different kid. But here's the thing:
He
Sandlot
didn't
had a lot
say
of bad
any of
words
them,
in it.
though.
Oh, that's true.
And everybody grew up watching Sandlot thinking it was a great
It was a great
movie. And
I
it was
love that
like,
What do you mean was a great
no,
movie?
I'm so,
It still
It
is a
still
great movie.
checks
good
out.
movie.
but it's PG. It's rated PG. It's already rated. So like,
There you go.
I hope his little brother's in it.
But the thing
I
is,
did
like,
love his brother.
I did never realize the language that was in Sandlot until I was doing student ministry and I was riding on a tour bus, and that movie got put on, and all of a sudden I'm wildly, vividly aware of the cursing that's happening
It's
on the
it's
TVs
the
and the
curse of
students
the
that I'm
80s.
leading. I'm like,
It's
nope.
a game of baseball in the 80s.
We've discussed this, and we discussed it last week too about how the 80s was kind of like a wild, wild west when it came to like swear words of in PG movies.
I had a favorite movie growing up, and I showed it to my kids. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
You say it, Alan. What was?
meatballs.
I've never
Never
seen
saw
that.
Oh, it's fun.
I don't even.
It's funny. It's funny. I have to say it.
Never even heard of it.
Don't let your kids watch it. It's not. I mean, it was PG, I think back then, but it was really
But also,
It's different.
more 13.
was it
That was
Twins
1979.
with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger? Was that Twins?
No,
No,
Oh,
this is
Well, they
this
are not,
is,
so-
Bill Murray and
meatballs. Funny.
No,
movie.
I'm
I
talking
do
about
love
a
Bill
different
Murray.
movie.
It's funny.
you're talking about Twins?
Yeah, Twins.
Yeah, they were in a Twins.
Yeah, and that movie's PG, and it is bad.
Yeah.
Like cursing and stuff like
I
that.
need to
so.
watch more 80s movies, I guess.
80s, yeah. And there was
Got away with a lot more.
yeah.
All we watch in our house is VeggieTales.
James, you're up, man.
Sure.
Okay, this
Jan.
is to me. This to me is the ultimate, and
This one's funny.
I laughed so hard. I told my
is
wife
funny.
about this last night because we were talking about what we're going to talk about today, and I got permission to share something later. But I read this article and I just couldn't help myself. I said, "This has to go into
This has to go.
this has to go into what we're talking about today." So the title of the headline is "My in-laws defied our one household rule." So I called the police on them.
Oh my.
Right? I'm like, so her in-laws, this woman, literally, I'm going to paraphrase the article, but basically,
And then she writes an article.
yeah,
and
she
puts
writes
it
an
in the
article about
paper.
it
Wait, so this is the lady that called the police on her parents?
on her husband's parents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not just her parents.
I
That's
guess
her
it depends
in-laws?
on what the
Oh,
rule
no.
that was
Yeah.
broken
She called it
was.
on her in-laws. So,
Okay, yeah.
and it's so
Continue.
crazy. So I want to start off by prefacing, that my wife and I went through premarital counseling before we got married, and I think it was literally the best thing ever. Okay, because I believe that has saved us from so many arguments and so much discord that you see a lot of married couples have, right? And it's especially for us. We were older when we got married. Like I was in my 30s, she was in her late 20s, kind of a thing, and so it was huge to like we had already kind of been set in our ways a little bit, and so for us to do that premarital counseling. And one of the things they talked about in premarital counseling was kind of setting some boundaries for your family, and then like as a team setting those boundaries and then sticking together, right? Mm-hmm. And so this couple is a huge like example of that in one of the funniest ways possible. So this couple basically set a rule. She says, my husband and I have a very strict rule that if you don't call, text, or do something to let us know before you try to come to our house, you can't come in.
Aww.
And it has been a rule since they got married, and it applies to both sides of their family because they don't just want random visitors. They don't just want people coming in and interrupting their lives and their busy lives and all this and all that.
I have a theory.
And so
Oh no.
we're not here to
Conspiracy.
judge these people. We're here to laugh at what they did.
I'm already judging
Okay,
them.
yeah,
I have a
just keep
theory.
going. I want to
Sorry.
hear the whole story.
So,
Yes, let's hear the whole
so
thing.
basically, mom hears a knock at the door, right? And yep, hello.
We're reenacting this.
Okay, so let's do it. Let's say, all right.
no,
no.
Hey,
So she goes to the door, and it's her in-laws standing there, but they hadn't called, they hadn't texted, they hadn't notified mom that they were showing up. So she says, my husband isn't home. So at this point, I called him to see if they had,
They're standing at the door.
asked, like,
Hold on
hold on a
Please
second.
check and see if you're
Hey,
allowed to
did your
come in.
parents call and ask if they could come over? Nope. Okay, cool. So basically they hadn't. They were trying to visit their granddaughter who was not even at home, right? So they clearly came to visit, and the person they were coming to visit wasn't even there. So she says to her in-laws, hey, you're not allowed to come over unless you call or text or let us know ahead of time, so you need to leave.
I am not pleased with these people.
So I think it's hilarious. So the father-in-law instantly gets mad because he's like,
Yeah.
we drove for over an hour
He has every
to
right
see
to.
our granddaughter, and they should be allowed in. But the granddaughter wasn't even in there, first of all. And had they called ahead of time, they would have known that and would
This
have
is
wasted
Gilmore
that
Girls.
hour.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Great show.
so there was no getting past the angry mother who refused to let them in because they didn't call before they did it. So she said at this point, her husband comes home, and his parents think, oh, well, now that our son's home, he'll let us in. Nope.
Wow.
Son says,
my
nope,
word.
you need to leave.
Oh, man.
You're trespassing. That's the best part. He looks at his parents and says, you're trespassing.
Oh, my gosh.
And reminds them of the rule and says they have to leave. They refuse. So guess what happens? They call the police.
They're psycho.
yeah,
Dude.
that's crazy.
Like they said, hey, this is a well-known rule. You've known about this rule. This isn't a new rule. Who drives an hour without even checking to see if the person they want to visit is there? And if they'd have called, they would have known. But the dad was like, nope, you can't come in. So they called the police. They called the police on his parents because they broke the rule of not calling before they came over.
That is
What did
so
the police
messed up.
It doesn't say. It doesn't say. That's kind of where the story
I hope they
ends.
were like, no, we're not
Crazy.
coming over.
Well, technically speaking, they're trespassing. It doesn't matter if they're related. If they call the police because these people
I
are
feel like that's
trespassing.
obstruction of justice.
Yeah, agreed.
You keep using a lot of legal terms. I don't think you know what they mean.
Inconceivable.
So my first theory
Yeah,
theory.
was,
Conspiracies.
the wife suggests, I think we need to come up with some ground rules. And the husband thinking, okay, this is a good
cool.
idea. The first one is, no one can come to our house unless they call first. Okay. All right,
Theory is
sure.
She's a messy housekeeper.
And so I think that he got caught in the middle of this and found himself, do I support my parents or do I support my wife?
But it applies to her family too. It's not just his family.
I get
Well,
it.
if her family
get
lives, 6 states away, then great.
It makes it easier.
Yeah.
We don't have that context.
So I
We
think
don't, but I don't like them.
I just-
that
anyways.
was theory number one.
Are you defending this?
No, but I think
Okay,
it's so
that's
funny.
the first question. I
No.
just want to
Yeah.
make sure that you're not in
No,
favor
no.
of this.
So I
Even
be
if
wrong
you
with
were,
questions.
I was going to tell you how you're wrong. So
Yeah. One, I would say, as an in-law, you ought to call and give a heads up. I think, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not like,
When Carson gets married, you're going to be like, hey, can we come over? Or are you just going to show up at the door?
oh, I'm definitely going to call.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I'm definitely going to show up at the door. It would have.
Definitely. I just think it's kind of courteous. You know what I mean?
It's
So,
courteous, but there was a time in America where your door was always open
Yeah.
to family, to
Not in
friends.
Bogalusa.
Not in Bogalusa. Lock your doors
One
and
in
your
17
windows.
doors is always open. That's why they're the
That's
victim
the
of crime.
problem.
You're right.
Well, I just think that's kind of a lost art. You
I
know what I
agree.
mean?
I
That
agree.
We
Every
all don't
family
live
may
in
be different on
Mayberry,
that.
so
No, I know. We're Stars Hollow, and
you're all caught up on
Yeah.
Gilmore Girls right now.
I just started it. So I don't know. I just think if they have driven over an hour and a half, whatever, and they're standing there at your door, you have nothing else going on, which we don't know that they didn't. But why not just let them in?
but
Yeah, this has happened
to their
before.
defense,
You
if you do it one time and let it defeats it.
Can
Take
you make it
advantage
really
of it.
clear?
Yeah.
Though, I mean, they obviously made it very clear by calling the police.
Yeah.
So
This had to have happened before. You don't just make up this rule out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I bet you. So I bet you the parents are difficult, and they bore a difficult
Both
child.
the whole family sounds kind of
Yeah.
difficult.
Have you
Yeah.
seen that? I don't. Gosh, what's the commercial? I think it's Progressive. It might be Geico, but they're doing the puns where they're like, "We have an ant problem,"
Yeah, it's
and then
Geico.
it's an insurance company. And then all of a sudden, like this married couple, all the ants are showing up at their house, but it's
Yeah.
AUNTS, and so they're
cleaning
like,
out their fridge and stuff.
expired. She's looking at the fridge.
I would
Well, there's
be
one where the
happy.
ant is standing on the front porch, like knocking, going, "I know you're in there."
Yeah.
And it's like this is like the real life. This played out
Embodiment of that, yeah.
of what's happening there. But I mean, yeah, you're right. It probably happened because it doesn't say it was when they first got married. It says early on in their marriage.
Yeah.
So I bet you family was just like showing up all hours of the day.
I just can't imagine calling the cops on any of my family
don't do
unless
it.
something really bad was happening.
Yeah.
It's not worth ruining a family relationship
ruins
over.
That'll
ruins
ruin
it.
it.
I can just
That'll
picture
ruin
Allie.
it.
Let me guarantee you
hello.
that they are not coming over
Because isn't
anymore.
your brother-in-law a police officer?
ever again.
Yeah.
Isn't your brother-in-law a police officer?
Yeah.
Hi, brother-in-law. Yeah, Sheila's on the front porch.
Yeah.
Can you come handcuff her and take
He
her
would
away?
be like,
Yeah, thanks.
she should be
Especially in
there.
your case because your parents are literally your next door.
Yeah. And they don't come over all the time.
Do you feel
so
more sorry for the child or
Oh,
for,
yeah.
For the grandchild?
husband?
I feel bad for the whole situation. There's no
Parents?
winners.
Yeah, there's no
nobody
There's
winners.
no
won.
winners.
Nobody won.
But the thing is, the grandchild wasn't even there.
The grandchild is the loser, like in the situation.
Got him.
I said, like she lost. She lost.
She didn't get to see the grandparents.
She's the one that's not.
She didn't get to
guilty.
enjoy
Everyone
her
else.
grandparents being arrested by
Yeah,
her parents. Like
missed the
none of
whole
this
thing.
stuff.
and she'll never
happened.
see him again.
Okay, but the best part of this whole thing is the person who, like the lady who calls the police, she wrote the blog post.
She did. That's the best part.
And she's like trying to get
And it makes it to
validation
the
from
paper.
other people, and other
Right.
people are
That
like,
comment
"You're
thread-
crazy."
No,
That
people were
comment
actually in
thread's gonna
support of
be-
her.
What? No.
Yeah, the comments that people had were actually in support of her. Like, yeah, had they knew the rule, they broke it. Of course, you call the police on them.
I
That's
mean,
a silly rule.
And then the other ones, like most people had to say was, they're sitting there fussing about having driven for over an hour, right? Grandma and grandpa were like, we drove for over an hour. And they're like, had you called first and followed the rule, you would have known that the granddaughter wasn't even there, so you wouldn't have wasted that time driving over an hour.
well, what
Sure.
if they were just driving over an hour and they happen to be in town? I just think a surprise
Then you
visit's
can't use that
nice.
Here's the
Excuse,
lesson: when you get married, you're not just marrying that girl or that boy.
Marrying
You're
family.
marrying their family.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true.
And who's to say, I mean, you guys are making some pretty big assumptions here that the wife is the one who made that rule. Alan is especially. What if it was the husband?
Percentages.
Either one, they agreed. They both agreed.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, the
it
reality
all goes
is-
back to the fall of man in the Garden of Eden.
The rule
When the
itself
woman
is
gave
dumb.
Adam the
Eve began
apple.
Yeah.
Or whatever the
Eve was the
forbidden fruit
problem, and Adam was the weak man in that
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. Allie is very uncomfortable.
I
don't
am
think
kidding.
that's
You dug at all the
Somewhat.
boys a couple weeks ago with our weight, so we're
It was
going to
a
dig at you
fact.
about Eve.
I didn't say that I was never close to 200 pounds.
I think
wasn't
that might
over.
be one of the best articles we've had so far.
It's been
for
a
the
while.
dishes.
That
That was a good one.
That's insane.
I
There's
mean,
we could talk more about this.
People need to let us know.
Yeah.
Is that crazy or is it not?
Who's really at fault? Let us know in the comments. Is it the in-laws? Is it
can we
the
do
wife?
Or is it
the husband?
the grandchild?
Or the grandchild? That's right.
I want us to
For
do an
being
Instagram
so dang
poll.
cute.
Yeah.
Can
We're
we
not
do
being
that?
there.
Or yeah.
Can we do an Instagram poll?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's do it.
That would be good. That'd be good.
They will have no context though, so they'll be
That's
like,
true.
"Why?"
Well, we have to post this with it and be like, all right.
This article, we'll figure that
Yeah,
out.
we'll figure it out.
Let's just pray
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
we'll figure it out.
We'll pray about it.
It's the deep dish.
The deep dish for today, and your article is a good segue into the deep dish here. So, I don't remember. Let me see. What was the title?
I think here's
I don't
Holiday
remember.
stress. Yeah. Holiday stress is
Yeah.
the topic, and the article that I picked out. And here's basically what it says: it's a poll that was taken, and 1 in 6 parents, which really isn't that high, but just under 20% people, holidays are very stressful.
Yep.
I think it should be higher than that, but
I think so too. But this
I don't
poll
think
was
they
taken
did a
last year.
nationwide poll. I think it was only in the area.
They
It was,
checked
it was a little
Bogalusa.
over 2,000 people, but it says 1 in 6 surveyed in a new national poll. It says it's national. Say they're stressed out. Mothers are twice as likely than fathers to acknowledge and have stress levels during the holiday. And so we'll need to unpack that one here in a minute. So it's 1 in 6. 1 in 5 say that affects how much their kids enjoy the season. So that's not a good thing. When your kids can feel the stress.
And your dog.
1 in 4 parents say stress is tied to placing unrealistic expectations on themselves to create a joyful holiday. So I think we can all identify with that. You guys have been married for, I know you're not married to each other, but you've been married for how long? How long have you been
4
married?
years.
4 years.
2.
2? Has it been 2? It's longer than that.
Yep.
So that's
Well, I got
good.
scared. I had to think about it.
So 2 years, 4 years, 20.
We haven't been married 20 years.
Oh, really? I thought you were.
No, we've been married 12 years.
12. Okay. 28.
Well, there you go. You've got
I
the
just kinda
whole
trumped everybody.
spectrum
Right
here.
in the
Yes, that's right.
gamut.
You were married a little bit later. We were married when we were 12. So we were really young.
Ew.
Yes.
That's gross.
So give us some examples of how the holidays have been stressful for y'all. And this is good because we been married for 2 years, 4 years, 12, 28. We're covering a lot of
Lots of
territory.
A
ground.
variety.
Yes. So what's been stressful for y'all with the holidays?
Well, I think for me specifically for the holidays, it's not necessarily the events or family. I don't. We actually have a really healthy system of how to do holidays with family. I think for me specifically is work,
I was thinking that
especially
too.
during Christmas time and holiday time. We have a lot of events that specifically at the church happen, and being a support ministry that we have to be at a lot of these things. Yeah. And so my time at home during the holidays dwindles quite a bit. And so it's trying to balance that work life and home life, especially during the holidays. And that's a major stressor. And I think the beginning of our marriage, that was a big stressor for us, was just trying to figure out like, okay, I got to go back to work after dinner. And it's like, I'm working till 1 a.m. kind of thing.
Yeah.
And trying to balance that. But now we've come down to like, okay, there's more important things than just work. So
Right. Well, that's good. So work for you. How about Allie? How about for y'all?
I think our biggest like heartbreaking conversations have been over the holidays, like what we're going to do. Michael's family, his immediate family is mostly in Little Rock area, but the rest of his family, and he has a small family, and I come from a very large family, and they're all up here. The rest of his family is in Dallas. And so when we first started dating, they don't have like very strong traditions when it comes to the holidays, and my family does. So we do the same thing every Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving we're a little more flexible with, just because we had like 40 people is almost a little too much for your Thanksgiving dinner, and so that's what we're pushing these years.
that's a lot.
It's a lot. It is a lot. People's houses are seeming to get smaller these days. So
No, you're just seeming to get more people.
yeah. But Christmas
case,
is a
just
really
larger.
big deal. Like my parents have always hosted Christmas. Even when my grandparents were alive, they always came to our house. So being at my home on Christmas Day is really important to me. And our first year of marriage, I think, was kind of, I cried a lot around the holidays, just because I had to understand that, yes, while Michael's family is flexible, it's important for him to spend Christmas Day, even though it doesn't carry any weight. And as far as traditions go, it's still important for him to be around his family on the holidays. And so learning how do we balance that? And I have such a fear. I'm fearful of a lot of things, but of traveling around the holidays, just weather. And there's a lot of like very depressed people who drink a lot. And so we had lost somebody when I was growing up who died in a car accident on Christmas Eve from a drunk driver. And so those things like haunt me as we're like on the road and it's 10 p.m. and I'm just, glued to the chair and just hold on to the side of the car traveling. But we've made it work, and we're trying to like rotate. We spend Thanksgiving with one family and then Christmas with the other. And I know a lot of people do that, and I think that's kind of the best way we've found it to work. It hasn't worked right so far, just with illnesses and family and COVID, all these things get in the way. So at some point we'll have a really good routine down, but we have both learned how to be flexible and communicate emotions during the holidays, because those are really high.
Yeah.
And just explain like what's special to us. And we know at some point that'll change, like if we're able to have children, when we get to have our own family, all of that changes. So trying to figure out this pattern that works for us in this season of our lives.
Yep. You made a good point too, because it changes. One dynamic changes and you've got to reassess and everything.
Yeah.
How about for y'all, James?
Oh, goodness. Well, so, I said we talked early on in our marriage because of our premarital counseling about things like the holidays. Because for me, growing up, we didn't live close to family. We were an hour and a half away from the closest family members. We had like cousins that lived by us, but not people we would, do holidays with. And so as a little kid, what always stressed me out was, loved Christmas morning, because you get up early Christmas morning, go into the living room, see all the toys, play with your stuff. but it was short lived because we had to pack up and go to grandma's. And so it was always kind of like, okay. And as a little kid, I mean, you just kind of deal with it. But the older you get, the more like, do we have to do this again? And so one of the things Andrew and I talked about, because by the time we got married, we were both kids of divorced families. And so we knew we weren't gonna do, and at that point, we didn't know we weren't gonna be able to have kids, but we hope to adopt now. But we weren't gonna do the whole marathon of go here, then go there, and then all like, no, we weren't gonna do that. And so we said, when we got married, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do Thanksgiving. And also it's worth noting that like Andrea's family, especially after my mom died, our family traditions kind of like broke a little bit. And so my family wasn't always super good about doing holidays together, or if they were, it was always Sunday at noon. Well, I work for a church, so I can't do something Sunday at noon because it's an hour and a half to get there. And so by the time we get there, it would be over. So we didn't get to do a lot of that. But Andrea's family is a lot closer. So we had said, we're not going to do this thing of going to your mom's and your dad's. Like, we're not doing that, especially when we have kids. We're not dragging our kids from here to turn around and do something there. Because it's like, as an adult, you're eating lunch at noon and then eating dinner at 3. I'm like, I'm sorry. No, that's just a waste of our time. So we had said Thanksgiving is going to be someone's family. And my family never did Christmas on Christmas. We always did it like a week later. But again, Sundays. So we said we're going to spend Christmas Eve with either her mom or her dad, and whoever we didn't do Christmas Eve with, we're going to do Christmas Day with. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of said that's our rule, right? We're going to do that. Well, I remember the very first Thanksgiving after we got married, we were driving somewhere, and it was coming up on Thanksgiving, and we were talking about the plans. And I said, yeah, we're going to go to your mom's for Thanksgiving. She goes, oh, yeah, and then we have to stop by my dad's. And I was like, wait, what? And she's just kind of sitting in the car giving me that look like, crap, I was hoping you forgot about the conversation that we had. And the thing is, like, it annoyed me for sure, and I was upset about it because I was like, we said together, we decided we're not doing this, but it was only that one time, and it was kind of one of those things. It was hard for her. Mm-hmm. It was hard for Andrea to do that because she's so close to her family. So it's not easy to set those boundaries, but like we said we were going to do it, and, we stuck to it. That first year we didn't compromise. We said, hey, we decided as a family, we're not doing that. So we're going to spend Thanksgiving with mom this year. We'll catch you next year kind of a thing. A lot of that has become a lot easier for us since we moved because we're not local. And, given work schedules and stuff, it's hard for us to travel, 3.5, 4 hours to go do that for holidays. We just don't, it's not something we're likely to do, but it was great. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'm kind of with David too, though. Like a lot of the stressors for us have been with my family. Well, you never join us for holidays. You do them Sundays at noon. Mm-hmm. I can't do that. This is my job. Mm-hmm. Like if we scheduled the family Christmas on Tuesday at 11 a.m., you probably couldn't do it either because you have to go to work. Yeah. I'm like, so don't blame me about the fact that I work for a church and I'm not going to be able to be there by noon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. An hour and a half away from where I live, kind of thing.
There's a lot of factors. I mean, work, it obviously impacts all of us. My wife's in the medical field. So actually my role on staff at the church makes me a little bit more flexible because I'm not having to run the cameras and the sound and the lights and all that kind of stuff. And so, but with hers, she can't be very far from her work. And so we're a little bit more tied closely. When we were younger, it was easier because we lived far away from home. I mean, we live South Korea,
when you were
Canada.
Younger, you're experiencing what we experience now.
Yeah. So now that we're back here, we've had to really think through everything that you guys did, your first couple of years of marriage. And so, so the dynamics with us is both working full time makes it a little bit challenging. Our parents are older; they're having a harder time traveling, things like that. But figuring all that out can be stressful. In this poll, here are the top stressors: extra shopping, holiday tasks. 31%. That's how they responded. So, which I thought was interesting. But I guess I can understand that when we were younger, trying to fit budget, especially with kids, and then trying to get stuff for our parents.
I think that makes it a little bit easier nowadays, though. Most of the time it's online.
Yeah.
It's just the shipping.
So true. Yeah.
The stress of getting it in.
This poll was taken last year. So,
It's the stress I think it's partly the stress of the financial burden.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you got to buy all this money. You got to spend all this money.
Another one underneath it, the household finances.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, 30% was keeping family healthy. Then household finances at 29%. Planning for family gatherings. That's probably what we've talked mostly about. Making special holiday meals. That can be stressful, especially if you're hosting.
If you stop making stuffing, then you're going to be fine.
Keep the yams.
It's the cheapest thing you can make.
If you are not hosting, help wash the stinking dishes.
Yeah.
When we've hosted several times for Christmas, oh my goodness, it was a full-time job from morning to night. You're either cooking or you're cleaning.
Yep.
And when your siblings aren't helping with washing the dishes.
Gosh, I hate siblings so much.
They're terrible.
Call them out by name.
The last one, criticism from family members about holiday plans.
There you go, James.
So yes, so we've hit several of those. So I think we've talked about the first question I had on here. We've all encountered some of these. Which one jumped out most to y'all? Is there anything you're like, oh yeah, okay, maybe that one was more of an issue?
I was surprised that shopping was number one.
Yeah.
I felt like that would be a little bit lower compared to like plans and all that other stuff. But I guess I'm not a parent, so I don't know how stressful that can be.
Yeah.
I mean,
It can be stressful when you're trying, like, I'm not a parent, so I'm not trying to speak from that angle,
Sure.
but it can be stressful because we all have that at least one person that you have no idea what to get them.
yeah,
And they're like, well, I don't know what to get this person.
Jelly of the Month Club.
Yeah, I mean, might end up being what happens. But, so it can be a little bit stressful. And like having to go into stores, because there's still some things you need to go into stores for, and standing in line for 6 hours while you wait for checkout and, all that kind of fun stuff. I mean, it's just.
I guess you're talking about Black Friday.
No, well, though, yeah, that's always a fun time. That's kind of fun to me, though, actually.
Not anymore.
No.
It's not really
I've
Black
never-
Friday anymore. It's
They've kind of changed
the whole
that.
month now.
Just whenever.
I'm actually thinking about going to, is it Home Goods or TJ Maxx or Marshall's, going to places like that.
Just to people watch?
Well, that's fun too.
Yeah,
I like
that
people
is.
watching. But no, like you go in there to get the
store
like
for
gag
y'all.
gifts or the you're going to pass it around gifts kind of a thing, because they're cheap stuff that sometimes are fun.
Their stuff is good.
But like you're standing in those lines forever to check out.
Yeah.
That is true.
On a regular day.
Home
Don't
goods.
do that.
That's true.
Yeah. Can't imagine over the holidays.
I think the other thing that might fall into this category, when it says like holiday tasks, just like having to decorate and like that side of people pleasing and perfectionism and having to have it all together for the holidays. I think this might be like the chaos category where all of that falls into that. I think that causes a lot of people stress too. Just trying to get everything taken care of so quickly, and weather affects it or finances or whatever. So I think that could fall into here.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's a question for y'all, for all of us, I guess. But I began thinking about this topic because I noticed with like Carson and Meredith, they're beginning to wrestle with and trying to figure all that out. And I could tell, that it was hard. They were wrestling how we're going to do this and figuring it out. And then that makes it hard on us because then we've got to figure things out with our parents and all that. But what kind of advice would you guys give to newlyweds or to a couple that's about to get married? They're engaged and they're figuring all this out, beginning to talk about it. What's the advice that you would give them?
I think easy advice would be know each other's expectations on it, specifically on holidays, and then compromise on what that's going to be, like James said earlier, making sure you have the conversation and not just expect to be places, because I know there's a lot of hurt that can happen from that and disappointment, and just kind of alleviating that beforehand. Definitely, just specifically if we're talking about holidays, just, understanding each other's expectations.
Yeah.
David went like a totally deep route with his answer to that question, and what instantly popped into my head was paper plates.
Oh my gosh.
Decorative.
Like,
paper
don't
plates.
try to do like
The
the
TJ
whole
Maxx paper
fancy
plates.
thing with everything polished and spit shined and, like, get out the good china. Like, no, just paper plates, throw them away. That alleviates some of the dish hassles too.
Yeah.
But that doesn't look cute.
I mean, listen, the other stuff you put around can make it look cute, but like, just, don't try
Help
to
yourself,
go
help
overboard.
yourself.
Don't try to go overboard, because no one's going to remember next month
I might.
or next week whether or not they had a meal at your house on, and I'm using paper plates as a silly example, but nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to remember that. They're going to remember
I think that's a good
coming
example.
together.
No, it is.
They're
It should
going
be
to
the
remember
conversation.
the conversation. They're going to remember all that kind of stuff, and it's just focus on what's actually important. Is that you're with family, you're with friends, you're doing this because you want to be together, not you want to do this because you want to have the prettiest house and make the biggest impact, because nobody's going to notice.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to remember.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. My guess is many newlyweds aren't going to be hosting, but at the same time, it could be that happened. And focus on the relationship side of things. It's good. Anything else you guys can think of?
I would add in just like learning to let loose of people pleasing.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what leads into a lot of the, like, it's hard. It was hard for me to tell my parents, like, we're not going to be here for Christmas. It's hard for them to hear it. I'm the baby.
Yep.
And like I said, they've always hosted. And so knowing that you can't do it all, and then learning that both of you are making sacrifices. And so, that means that if we're not going to spend the holidays with Michael's extended family in Dallas, then I need to make a point that we find time in our calendar to visit that family in Dallas another time of the year. Yep. So just like kind of going out of your way to make sure that that sacrifice is met in some other capacity.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's really good. And that's what we're learning now. Before it was like we were driving down from Toronto and it's like, okay, we're splitting our week in half, 3 days here, 3 days here. And we flip who's getting the actual Christmas day and who's getting the day after type of thing. So now it does get complicated.
Well,
Boxing Day.
do you have any specific advice for those that aren't married? Because our viewer and listener base isn't all married people.
That's true.
So like specifically for stress for them, what do you think is a big stressor for someone who's single?
Probably the same thing, depending on their situation. I mean, if they're single and it's just going back to family, their stressors, I guess, are going to be different.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, before I got married, a big stressor for me was, like, and again, this kind of stems from holidays where I didn't, before I was married, and after my mom died, is because my family only did things on Sundays and I couldn't go. Mm-hmm. And so I was alone.
Yeah.
I was alone for a lot of holidays. And so, I say a lot, it wasn't a huge amount of time, but it was like just even holidays in general. It's like, if you're alone, that's kind of stinky, you know? And so it's like, all right, cool. Well, it's Thanksgiving and I literally am not going anywhere because my family's going to do it on Sunday and I can't be there, So it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, cool. What do I do? Am I going to do the stereotypical thing and like, all right, it's Thanksgiving. The only place that's open is a Chinese restaurant in IHOP or a Waffle House,
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's the thing is like, this is kind of a piece of advice for them, but kind of not. It's kind of a piece of advice for those people that know people that are single.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Invite them. Yeah. Invite them to join you. Ask if they have, ask that coworker that you work with that isn't married, or even if they are married, but they don't have any kids, know the people around you so that you can be sensitive to the, hey, do you have something to do for Thanksgiving? Why don't you join us, for Thanksgiving? Why don't you join us for Christmas?
Yeah, and I hate to get like too dark on this conversation, but I feel like there's a lot of things that it's a lot deeper than just your typical going places and eating food and spending time with people, because I think it brings up a lot of stress on depression and loneliness. Mm-hmm. And as you were saying, there's a lot of, hurt in the holidays.
Yep.
Not just for single people, but for married people as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how would you give advice to those people?
Man, because I think about it a lot from a parent standpoint now, and maybe at some point a grandparent, but I just think I would just say think of the others first, And so if I like your advice for opening your home to others. Think about everyone's circumstances within your family, and try to make some of those accommodations and everything. But for a single person, if it can't be with family, then put effort into building a community. Be involved in a community. Find time to be with them. I don't know if that's answering your question.
Well, I'm just thinking
I would do a Friendsgiving and a Friendsmas.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you are single, because I've done that.
Yeah.
If you are single and you're not going to be able to be with your family during that time, there are others in the same boat as you.
Yeah.
And there are other people that that are in the same boat as you, and get over the like weird shyness of not wanting to say it, but be like, hey, I don't have anything going on this Thanksgiving. Do you guys want to come over to my house and we'll have a Thanksgiving dinner together? Yeah. We'll make pizza rolls. Even go all out and make a turkey. Who knows? But do that, be that. Don't expect someone else to be it for you. I say this to people all the time whenever I hear them say, well, I came to church and nobody said hi to me. Cool. Who did you say hi to? Mm-hmm. like, because it works both ways. Maybe you need to be the one saying, hey, David, do you want to come over and we'll celebrate Thanksgiving together? So like, be that person that initiates it. Don't expect someone else to initiate it.
I think for the conversation about like holiday grief and depression, what I've observed a lot of people who I know have gone through this around the holidays is just the way that they distract themselves. And so, they'll volunteer with Salvation Army to ring a bell, or they'll end up serving every weekend in the month of December, or even, around Thanksgiving, whatever it is. And so sometimes distraction, I don't know if this is clinical, but is a helpful mechanism. And I think it also brings another perspective and just different insight. And I don't know, it's almost kind of healing maybe in a way, because you are taking a step back from what you would normally do around the holidays. And so you see everything in a new light, and you get to observe the little things that bring people joy. I don't know, just from a different side. And so I think sometimes when you open yourself up to that, it can kind of be a healing process for some of that holiday grief.
Yeah, and I think it's important, like James was saying, it's important to note that if you are going through holiday grief, it's important to note you're not the only one going through these same things. We like to put on these facades that we are all put together during the holidays specifically, but it's important for us to kind of meet people where they're at in their grief, because, I mean, there's a lot of people that have lost loved ones that maybe for the first time this year are going into the holidays really, really depressed.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us, especially as the church, to meet people where they are and help them in their grief. And like you said, a very practical way to do that is invite them into your family, quote unquote, for a holiday time. And that really helps alleviate the stress of, because not just because you are going through grief, I can imagine a lot of people stress about going through grief.
Yeah.
Because they're not even in that holiday season, but they're stressing about how they're going to feel during the holiday season.
Yeah.
In our family, we always would buy like a new game, and it was just like the family gift at Christmas. It would still get wrapped, but we'd have it there. And many a times we have had a friend who was going through a difficult time, and it's usually around Christmas. And so we'd invite them over, and then that way that person, they'll open the family gift. So we had no idea that they were coming, no plans, didn't purchase anything for them. And I know Christmas isn't about the gifts, but when you're the only one in the room who doesn't have anything, that kind of doesn't help the grief that you walked in there with. So that gift is always reserved for in case somebody shows up who wasn't expected at our Christmas.
Great
so that's
idea.
just like fun little thing you can do. And then, if nobody shows up, somebody from the family can open it. So
Yeah. One thing that's not on this poll that surprised me is there was nothing said about divisive conversations like politics or critical family members.
I didn't know if you wanted to get into that, but we had some on our previous week's episode, some good ways to alleviate some of that stress too.
Was that last year at this time?
No, last week. We talked about distrust and stuff, but we also kind of dipped our feet into some politics there.
I mean, just set your expectations. Hey, we're not talking about this. I mean, like with most people.
But what if you want to talk about it and other people want to talk about it?
Then you're the difficult
Then
person.
you need to set the ground rules.
you call the cops on
Yeah.
your fam.
You just set the ground rules of, you can't do this, you can't do that. If you do it, we're stopping the conversation. I mean, a lot of families, for the most part, are going to probably be in agreement, on what they're talking about because they're family. But you do have those wild, crazy cousins or sisters or whatever, Uncle Joey, that doesn't have the same opinion, and they're just going to, start barking and yada, yada.
And I think it's important not to make those people feel ostracized.
Sure.
Like if there's a couple of black sheep from the rest of the
Uncle Joeys.
table, then I just make sure that they don't feel like they're no longer part of the family. I think that's the important thing.
Yeah. But
arguing about politics is no reason to destroy relationships.
No, it's not.
I've made a few phone calls to certain family members that are the ones who, just said, look,
Here's your
this
script.
year we're making this about Christmas and about the birth of Jesus. We're not going to make this about the latest political issue.
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
bet these holiday seasons, especially coming out of an election, midterm election, is going to be fun.
Every other year. It's either midterm or it's presidential.
It's like they do it on purpose.
Yeah, those jerks.
Ew. Why could we do our voting like Over the summer.
It's all for the money.
Yeah.
Christmas spending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's my
Capitalist
theory.
stress. That's good.
We're sitting here talking about it. I'm literally just like watching the election results come in because we still don't have the completed results.
Yeah.
As of now.
As
But
of current. Yeah.
it doesn't
We
matter,
will when
though.
this airs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully we've encouraged somebody for the holidays, right?
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
I'm just
Think it's
like,
been good?
I feel like we could encourage some people here, but do you have any specific, like, I don't want to get too like Jesus jukey here, but like scripture or anything that comes to mind that can help someone during these times?
There was 2 passages that came up in my mind that that talk about several different things. Even though this one's talking more maybe financial, the passage in Matthew 6, where Jesus is saying, therefore I tell you, don't worry about your life and you will what you will eat or what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Isn't life more important than food, and the body more important than clothing? Consider the birds of the sky. They don't sow or reap or gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. So for those that are dealing with the financial struggles, one, I think most kids, their memories are of playing with cousins and playing board games and having great time with family. Mm-hmm. That's my memories. And so if you can't afford the best gifts or whatever else, sometimes simple is best anyways. And so don't worry about those things. And so that was one of them. And then another one's just fear, because anxiety typically comes from thinking of the worst case scenarios, which hardly ever happen. But we always go there, right?
Right.
And so we think of the worst case scenario. And actually, I found a quote that was from Corrie ten Boom. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she's written a couple of books that were great. And she was one of those leading stories that came out of the Holocaust and all that. And so she has a quote that just says, or this was something that she would say to herself when she was feeling a lot of anxiety. Worry is an old man with bended head carrying a load of feathers, which he thinks are lead. And basically what she was saying there is our anxiety, we take something small in our life and we typically make it into this huge thing. And most of the things I worry about tend not to unfold that way. And so, and it's just kind of going back and just trying to be a little bit more realistic with your own expectations, and just, making sure that, that you have an accurate account of what that is.
And that's just worry about just Christmas holiday stuff, not necessarily worry about.
Yeah.
I would hate to think that someone would hear that and think that their worries and anxieties aren't necessarily valid.
Yeah.
Right.
But the fact that there is hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're valid. They just don't need to necessarily carry the weight that you're placing on them.
One of my favorite Psalms is Psalm 56, 3 and 4. When I'm afraid, I will trust in you. In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust, I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? If you're always worried about what people are thinking, is my home as nice as their home, whatever the dynamics may be, just focus your relationship on God. He's the one that we need to be trying to please, and don't worry about what others are thinking. And so that may be easy to say and hard to put in practice, but I think this is a good reminder. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, well, tell us what you think. We want to hear what stresses you out with the holidays, or if you got some advice, give that advice. I think.
And don't forget to tell us if you think that mom was right.
Oh,
Mom and Dad were right
right.
for calling the
She
police.
was wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And like and subscribe and
Share.
share.
And comment.
Yep, and rate. All those things.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Take care.